Hey y'all, I have a question for you. Do franchises ever truly die? At least for Ghostbusters, there's always an afterlife. From today's title, thumbnail, and that cringy introduction, today we are reviewing Ghostbusters Afterlife, the newest legacy film for the Ghostbusters franchise. And boy, is this a fun one. Ghostbusters Afterlife follows Phoebe, her mother, and brother as they go to their deceased grandfather's home, expecting to find kind of an abandoned farm and going through his older knickknacks, but instead what they uncover is a supernatural event that threatens not only their new hometown of Somerville, but potentially all of humanity. I'll just say this up front. Any fan of the original Ghostbusters is really going to enjoy this film. When I first saw this film advertised, I was super intrigued because there's something so like primal in a film lover's brain when you hear that Ghostbusters theme song and see the car, and I felt like the trailers were really epic for this film, and with the addition of Paul Rudd and the Stranger Things type element, this movie seemed like it was going to be a perfect storm, and I'm happy to report that I had a fantastic time watching this movie. I really think the one thing that could have gone so poorly in this film is the centering of child characters as the main characters. However, it could not have gone better, and honestly, the kids are my favorite part of this movie. McKenna Grace is fantastic as Phoebe. The character is so well written. She's an awkward girl who really loves science, who has a hard time making friends, but who is kind of okay to be on her own. I think her needs and the stakes of this for her are so clearly laid out in the beginning, and how she just wants to form a connection and have someone respect her love of science. And I think there's also a really great dynamic with her and her mom, not only because the mom is a very non-traditional mom character. She's kind of like a spunky single mom that treats her kids kind of like friends because she has to, but she's still trying to be her best mom that she can be, but she's not necessarily like cuddly coddly type of mom. And I think that just works really well for this movie. Her connection with Logan Kim, who plays Podcast in the film, is hysterical, and I love that this film celebrates kind of the nerds that made Ghostbusters as popular as it was. And I think specifically the joint charm between Kim and Grace just worked so well, was so funny, that I think that's why it's so enjoyable. I did also really love Finn Wolfhardt's character. I literally can't remember what his name was, and I liked the mom and Paul Rudd's character. I just feel like each of those was a little bit sidelined, and I think it could have used a little bit more of Paul Rudd's character because I think his humor works very well for a film like this, but the choices that they made, I think, really make the film strong, and I ultimately really like the way the story plays out. I also love that this movie just captures, again, what is so great about the original Ghostbusters. There's an element of cheesiness, or maybe borderline camp, I don't know. I think it's definitely more on the cheesy side, but it's like a loving cheesy. It's like your mom's homemade mac and cheese cheesy. Like, it's good and you love it, and even if other people don't enjoy it or other people are lactose intolerant, you're not, and so you're gonna enjoy it. I really love all the Easter eggs here, that it's so obvious from the beginning of the film when it comes with this message from Jason Reitman, the director, who is the son of the original Ghostbusters director, and talking about how this is a film about family, made by a family. And I think that theme of family, finding your identity within your family, or kind of your family history, how all of that really plays out so well in Ghostbusters Afterlife. I also think there's a lot of great Easter eggs, again, that you're going to love if you're a fan of the original Ghostbusters. I will say, back on the cheesiness end, a little too much cheese is not always a good thing, because I think there were a couple times in this, and this is a little bit of a personal critique, that some of the supernatural elements, will say, borderlined on like a Scooby-Doo type element for me, which again, I still enjoyed. It's just not necessarily like the most hardcore or even the most ridiculous cheesiness. It's almost just like right in the middle there, where it's like if it was any more realistic, it would feel bad because it's awkward, but if it was any more cheesy, it would be like a little too much. So it's just, there were a few things that just were on that border for me, but again, I think that's a personal choice because the other people I saw it with really enjoyed those elements and didn't have a problem with it. So again, take that with a grain of salt. However, I do think these elements are very clear in the original. I watched this with my boyfriend, who had watched Ghostbusters 1 and 2 the night before we saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, and he said that it was very much on par with the first two in the level of cheesiness. I've said cheese so many times in this video, it's just ridiculous. Overall, I think Ghostbusters Afterlife is a ridiculously fun time for families and a great introduction for younger fans to the Ghostbusters franchise, while also giving the older fans or more longtime fans something to really be excited about, while also serving as a really great connection point or bridge between those two audiences. If around this Thanksgiving holiday you're watching this with friends or family who haven't seen the originals, you go home afterwards and you watch the original, or you watch the original before you go see this. I think anyway, it kind of just creates a really fun atmosphere, and I'm all about movies that bring people together and create like a really fun, enjoyable viewing experience. I think Ghostbusters Afterlife is that to a core. Please let me know down below in the comments if you have seen this movie, what you thought of it. Be sure to give this review a like so I know to do more of them, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss those other reviews, recaps, and reactions. Thank you all so much for watching. Have an absolutely amazing day or night whenever you're getting to watch this, and I will see you in my very next video. Bye everyone.